Let's call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll? We're Health and Human Services and Aging Committee.
As a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll, Ms. Conwell. Ms. Conwell is absent at the moment. Mr. Sweeney.
Present.
Mr. Castleberry.
Here.
Mr. Hauser.
Here.
Mr. Schlepper. Mr. Schlepper is absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Any public comment?
No, Mr. Vice Chair, no one has signed in.
Thank you. How about I'll be addressed as Chairman Pro Tem or Acting Chairman? I'm just kidding. Approval of minutes from the October 1st, 2025 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. There's been a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. We're going to take something, we're going to take the matters referred out of order. We're going to do number 6, presentation first. And Madam Clerk, you don't have to do anything. Would folks from the emergency food contract come on up so we can talk about all the different ways from the United Way, Greater Cleveland Food Bank, Hunger Network, and the Human Relief Program of Hunger Network to talk about a situation where it's dire, I would say. And guess what? We can go one at a time, and then you'll all have your moment in the sun if you want to sit down. And you want to, it's up to you guys.
To you.
We can absolutely do that.
Yeah, just sit down. We'll take one at a time. I just want to not have you stand up and I want you to relax, and because this is important stuff that we would love to hear and see how we can help. The floor is yours.
Great. The slides up.
And if you could state your name for the record, please.
Great. So thanks for having me. My name's Jen, or Jennifer Cons, K-O-N-S. I'm with United Way of Greater Cleveland. I lead our community impact team there, where I'm the vice president. We come before you every 2 years to give you an update on the emergency food contract that's funded by the county. And so we are back. It's been 2 years, and we want to spend some time giving you an update. I'm here with my colleagues from the Hunger Network and the Food Bank, so Emma Messett, Julie Johnson, and Jess Morgan, who will all introduce themselves. But I will kick us off. Okay. So in our time today, we wanted to summarize where we are with our current contract, which spans 2 years, 24 and 25. We'll summarize that work and our outcomes to date. We wanted to look a little bit at food insecurity in Cuyahoga County more broadly, and then consider some factors that relate to growing community need over the next few years, like what we think things are gonna look like. So feel free to interrupt me at any point. Just to ground us, so our current contract is for $2.44 million. That's over 2 years. In addition, in 2024, we also utilized an emergency amendment of $250,000 associated with a power outage in August of 2024. But that base contract is the 2.44, which we're spending down right now. Next year's contract, what we have right now on the books, I don't know if books is the formal word, but what we have right now is a slight reduction at $2.034 million. We would welcome any opportunity to maintain our 24, 25 levels into 26, 27. I need to say we understand that this is a really challenging budget period for the county. We do anticipate that there will be more food insecurity over the next few years with changes to SNAP and the addition of work requirements. We do think we're going to see some people lose their benefits. At United Way, we are actively working to ensure that people maintain their coverage, can access jobs to meet those work requirements, and can hopefully improve their income so that they can roll off SNAP. But history has shown us that we know some folks are going to lose benefits. And we know that food costs continue to rise, and my colleagues will speak to that a little bit, and that means less purchasing power for households and for the food bank as well, the purchasing power of these funds. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But for now, we'll talk about our current contract that we're wrapping up. So we have spent over $2 million of our food budget. That's 94% of our food budget as of September 30th. We've also spent over $200,000 on hygiene items. So the contract allows us to spend dollars on non-food hygiene items. And any surplus that we have in that category, we will spend on food. These spending levels equate to about $81,000 a month is what we're spending on food that is distributed through the pantries. And we're on track to expend all those dollars, our full contract by December 31st of 2025. In terms of the relationship management, the way that we work together, the three organizations continue to work together well. We meet quarterly, we strategize. We also separately work on several projects in pairs. I'm going to turn things over to the food bank, to Hunger Network, to Emma from the Hunger Network. And she's going to start off by talking a little bit about the stronger collaboration between the food bank and the Hunger Network, and then get into some more details of the contract.
Thank you very much. We'll just hold our questions to the end,
Okay,
and then
great.
maybe all of you come up, and then we'll go that way. Very good.
Thanks.
Come on up. Emma.
Hi, Emma Messett with Hunger Network. Thank you so much for having us here this afternoon. I've been in this role just over a year and a half now as the Hunger Relief Program Director. And I just wanted to start with talking about some of the collaboration that we've done in the most recent years with the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. So in that blue gear you see on this slide, those pantries, that's the bread and butter, the origins of Hunger Network, and what is sponsored by this county contract. But that's just a small portion of the work that Hunger Network and the Greater Cleveland Food Bank are currently collaborating on. So I wanted to highlight a few of those other initiatives. So in addition to those pantry and hot meal sites, coordinating the biannual site visits that Greater Cleveland Food Bank requires and having me supplement them to comply with this county contract annually. We've really worked out a good schedule where all of our pantry managers feel like they have a touch point throughout the year where they can voice their concerns and questions about operations and making sure they are complying with everything from USDA to ODJFS compliance requirements. We also both support those sites with infrastructure and capacity grants for overhead costs, refrigeration and freezer replacements, and other durable equipment needs. The food bank puts out generous capacity building grants, and we put out grants from the Fox Foundation to our sites to purchase those equipment. So just that auxiliary level of support for those sites. And then in the larger scope, just wanted to quickly touch on our food rescue and food as medicine initiatives. Again, just to highlight that this is just one small segment of the overall picture of our collaboration. So every week we have our food rescue team going out to the food bank to rescue food that would otherwise be going to composting because it's on its last leg. We have 2 home delivery programs that we're coordinating on together to meet the needs of our medically tailored community here in Cuyahoga County with those food as medicine initiatives and produce prescriptions that are on the rise in healthcare today. So as I mentioned, we have, the origin of Hunger Network is those 69 food pantries. Of that, 51 of those pantry sites are supported on this county contract. You can see on the map, they are spread far and wide, but the highest concentration is in areas of high need. And I do just want to note that 17 of these sites have been added over the course of this county contract because those were sites that had previously been supported by FEMA EFSP funding, and as you saw me up here a few months ago for hot meal sites, that's been on hold since January. So we've had to spread this funding out thinner across all pantry sites to make sure that every pantry is able to maintain their operations and provide at least 3 days of food per household based on the household size. So this year I've been out to all but one site yet. Last year I did a bunch with the Greater Cleveland Food Bank, and next year we'll go out again together. It's just been really nice to touch base with them, and also we've hosted 4 quarterly manager meetings this year. We've had Greater Cleveland Food Bank representatives graciously joining us at each one, and it's been a great space for our managers to ask questions, troubleshoot pantry operations. We just hosted one on the 21st, and we just did roundtable discussions on like, what is freaking you out for the next 6 months? Why do you not think you're gonna be able to sustain this? Obviously, it's a trying time, but just having that sense of community is really what makes them a member and a value add of being part of Hunger Network. And so I will switch. This is the total visits made to Hunger Network pantries by quarter over the course of this contract. So we always do have some fluctuations in nicer weather months, as a lot of our customers are a walking population, as well as the holiday months. But here I just wanted to point out that the visits from Q3 2024 to Q3 2025 are up 9%. year over year. So this is actively showing the increase just throughout the time that this current contract has been in place. And just at in that same, maybe, respect, I'll just talk about it. At Midtown Market alone, which is just one of those 51 pantry sites, but it is located at the same site of our Hunger Network administrative offices, we served 72 new families last week, which was 47% of the 154 total families we served, and a record-breaking 110 families yesterday, Tuesday. I will say, I sit there and do the intake for every customer that comes in. We did not turn anyone away without food. It was challenging. We managed to get through. We are now preparing for tomorrow in these record-breaking numbers. So this slide talks through the visits made by County Council District, again, to these 51 pantry sites on this contract. It makes sense, the levels with over half of the population qualifying for food assistance in District 7 and 3, also 8 having the highest number of visits. The calendar year data for this year only goes through September, so this isn't the best visual anticipation because it doesn't have the projections on there, but we can see when we project it out that using conservative projections with averages, not counting for this SNAP lapse that we're facing, not counting for the holidays, we are projected to surpass the number of visits in calendar year 23, 6% overall, and then with unduplicated people, the projection is at 33%, and I can't emphasize enough that those are conservative projections using monthly averages year to date, and the holiday months, November and December, are consistently year over year higher than those. So on the low end, looking at those, 6% in visits and 33% in unduplicated people visiting the sites, just in the 2 years that this contract has been in order. And then when we zoom out here to look at year over year, pre-pandemic, pandemic, and then post-pandemic levels, it's very obvious that our pantry sites have adapted to a new normal. Calendar year 21, we had those pandemic relief efforts, stimulus funds, everything flowing through the community. But once that trickled away, you can see here the need has consistently been higher year over year. And these ones were put in the final hours before we had to turn this presentation in. So these numbers go through October. So one more month of data in there, but still, when we look at this, you can see calendar year 25 has already surpassed calendar year 24 by almost 1,200 people, and we haven't even gotten to the busiest months. Similarly, we flip to the total visits, and once again, using those monthly averages, we are slated to surpass calendar year 24 by about 32,000 visits. Again, cannot emphasize enough the conservative nature of those projections. I do imagine they will be much, much higher with everything that has developed in the past 3 weeks or so. That's enough data and graphs from me. I'm going to turn it over to Jess Morgan, the Chief Programs Officer at Greater Cleveland Food Bank, to talk more about the current landscape of food insecurity in Cuyahoga County.
Good afternoon. Hello, Councilwoman Conwell. We didn't have a chance to say hello earlier. My name is Jessica Morgan. I serve as the Chief Programs Officer at the Greater Cleveland Food Bank. The next slide, what button do I press here?
The green one in the
Thank
center.
you, the big green one. There's a lot of data on this slide that talks about food insecurity and Cuyahoga County specifically. I'm not going to recite every statistic from this slide. I do feel remiss to not mention current state and kind of where we are, and we've got some new data available to us that I wanted to make sure that I share today with you all. So last year, so the Greater Cleveland Food Bank service area is 6 counties. We of course serve Cuyahoga, but we also serve Lake, Geauga, Ashtabula, Ashland, and Richland. Last year, we served a little over 404,000 unduplicated people across those 6 counties, 300,000 of which resided in Cuyahoga County. So the vast majority of our service does occur here in Cuyahoga County. We are, of course, very concerned about the impacts of SNAP changes and the change to the work reporting requirements. I do want to thank the team at Cuyahoga County. I see Director Merriman is in the room. We have been a longtime partner, of course, of the team at Jobs and Family Services, and we think that they have done an amazing job these past 6 weeks or so getting the word out about the changes. Director Merriman can check my math on this one, but I believe about 95,000 households in Cuyahoga County receive SNAP. And with the current state, even though there is some temporary funding coming during the month of November, there's still a lot of uncertainty about when that funding will be available and how that funding will make it onto eligible households' accounts. For every one meal a food bank provides, and that's not just the food bank, that also includes our network of partner agencies, SNAP provides 9. So when there are reductions or temporary disruptions to the SNAP program, food banks and their partner agencies simply cannot make up for those disruptions, but we certainly will do everything that we possibly can. Right now, Emma and Jen mentioned that there's been some challenges in terms of just the cost of food going up. I've been at the food bank for about 13 years, and when I started at the food bank, we were able to say that $1 helped to provide 4 meals. Now that conversion is $1 helps to provide 2 meals. So, and that is primarily because that has gone down primarily because the cost of food has increased and the cost of freight has increased over time. So, dollars that we are bringing in, donated, and through partnerships, we are stretching to the best of our ability. But something else that we think about, especially during challenging months, is that our ability to help meet that need. And while our buying power can certainly go a lot farther, we are definitely seeing some challenges there. Yesterday, I want to piggyback off of what Emma mentioned. Yesterday, we served a record number of households at our Community Resource Center, which is located on South Waterloo Road. Many of you have been there. We served 466 households in 6 hours. And when we looked at kind of a comparison of the last week of October in 2024 compared to 2025, we saw a 15% increase in the number of visits made, and this is across the food bank's entire service area, but I think it could be applicable specifically to Cuyahoga County. 15% increase in visits made, a 22% increase in unduplicated people served, and almost a 30% increase in new households served. So that means that we are seeing about 30% more new families that have never needed emergency food assistance before the last week of October this year compared to last year. So that number is particularly concerning. I would make an assumption that a lot of that does have to do with the current government shutdown, and perhaps there are some families who are temporarily furloughed. Perhaps they might be federal workers, but nonetheless still a very concerning number. So some things that we're doing at the food bank to help. We are doing everything that we can. We looked at our distribution last November compared to what we're projecting for this November. We are planning to distribute about 1.1 million more pounds of food this November than last year, bringing us to close to 6 million pounds of food. Over half of that is food that the food bank is buying and making available for free to our network of partners. The other sources that make up the other half of that include donated food and then food that comes from federal and state sources. So, we are working really hard to be a steady stream of support for our community, for our neighbors in need, and also our partners who are working really, really hard to help meet that demand. But we are certainly seeing some challenges and know how important this particular contract is to the residents of Cuyahoga County who are in need. So I think that concludes our presentation. We are happy to answer any questions that there might be around the data that we provided or just in general about current state. Happy to support any additional commentary.
All right, thank you. I apologize for being late. Thank you to my colleague, Martin Sweeney. So I missed, did Julie Johnson and Emma Messett already speak? Okay, I missed that. So I do have a question for Jessica. How do you determine the percentage of funding that is dispersed to the 6 counties that you serve?
When we receive unrestricted funding, we have the ability to apply that wherever we see fit. Sometimes we do get restricted dollars in, whether they're donated or whether they're coming from a state or a federal contract. And then we have systems in place internally that allow us to monitor food distribution to particular counties. We do have, when it comes to food that we get through the USDA federal food, we have a specific target that we are expected to hit in terms of food distribution in those counties, so that also acts as a guide. But typically, when we get unrestricted dollars in, that allows us to make purchases, and any of our partner agencies who are eligible to access those foods can order as needed.
So for your unrestricted versus your restricted funding, which one do you get the majority of?
Usually mostly unrestricted.
If the county dollars, they're unrestricted?
As it pertains to this particular contract, they are restricted to Cuyahoga County. And so we work really closely with the Hunger Network and their team, and we have a process kind of outside of our normal process for all of our partner agencies to ensure that these dollars are being spent at the locations that fall within the Hunger Network portfolio.
And another question to Julie Johnson. So we, Director, we had given you, helped with, I want to say, was it 17 food sites or whatever? How is that going?
That's going really well. Emma has been managing that contract, and so we are able to stretch those dollars out until about March of 2026, as long as we maintain the same flow. So if distribution needs to increase because there are more people who are seeking hot meals, then we may have to increase that amount, and then, of course, that would lessen the length of time that it takes through. One of the things that we are working on, I know that we've mentioned this before, is we are ramping up our food rescue kitchen efforts. We're anticipating those will begin much wholeheartedly in January, so kind of just in time to supplement some of these sites. We do have a kitchen that we're currently renting on an hourly basis, and we're running the pilot with East Mount Zion Church. So we're producing right now about 10 to 20 pans of food that go to their senior feeding program once a week. We are limited by that kitchen space. We're just about ready to sign a contract with a new area that will allow us to develop the kitchen and get it up and fully functional and operational.
Would that be on the west side?
It is not on the west side. It is downtown.
Central Villa, I was thinking of, because I had did a tour, and so they have a kitchen where they loan out the space.
We've currently been working with East Side Market, their kitchen in there that's supported by Neon, yes.
Oh, yes, it is a small kitchen.
It is a small kitchen. It's beautiful,
It
but
is.
it is small.
Okay, I'm going to open it up to questions from my colleagues. Castleberry?
Madam Chair, thank you. So I'm just, my question, first of all, thank you for your presentations this afternoon. But my specific question is more about the hunger relief sites. I see there's 51 locations. Do you have a list available of where all the locations are at? Is there something that, I don't need it now, I'm just curious.
Truthfully, I have it now.
Yeah, okay. And I don't need to hear them. I was just curious, maybe we could share it with us. And I was wondering if, as the number of locations, has that remained steady, and is that grown over the years, or is it just a need for the number of people visiting the sites?
Yeah, that's a really great question. We've actually, again, I started 1.5 years ago, and we've worked to get some consistency on those sites, because the goal is that someone visiting a Hunger Network pantry that is supported by this county contract is going to get a full scope of food, protein, produce, all of the different selections, in addition to the traditional canned goods that you think of in a pantry. And these funds allow for the sites to purchase those products to give out to the site or to the customers. We actually, in the In this contract, we had 2 sites that are no longer on Hunger Network because they have had to shut down due to low numbers, or they had a lease issue. There was a few different things. So we're actually down. It was always 70 plus, and right now we're at 69. As we look into this new contract and the potential of it being about $400,000 less, we, would like to expand and get back up over that 70 number, but since we're overall spreading the funds over less sites, when we entered this contract, there was 34 pantries on the contract. There's now 51, because I mentioned that EFSP FEMA switch. So everyone is overall kind of getting less, and we're spreading it more thin. But we do have sites constantly reaching out. How do we access the county money? How do we become a Hunger Network pantry? And that's the catch-22 of, we have already stretched people, to a limit.
Oh, thank you. And that was going to be my next question, was if you anticipated any areas that are showing a great need for that, and if there was going to be any assistance available, or how that would work, or how you make that decision on who to fund, or who, if somebody else does want to become part of the network.
Yeah, we do have an interest form. So anytime someone reaches out, I have been having them fill out a form, interested in pantry, interested in hot meal, the location, things of that nature. We plan to review that at the end of this year. I think we have about 10 sites that have formally completed it, and then compare that with our program operations committee to where the sites are currently, see if any of the ones that are looking to open are in an area where there is a gap, and then have further conversations about what that would look like.
Great. Thank you for that, for your answers.
To the chair, to the director, thank you guys for all your work. I think your work is extremely needed, especially in these trying times. I'm looking on the back of the presentation, the 211 calls. I would have never thought to call 211 for food insecurity. For one, how do we leverage this? How are we promoting this? And then are we using this information to identify like different hotspots or?
That one's me. Hi, Councilwoman Conwell. Jen Cons from United Way. Thank you for the question, Councilman Hauser. So in 211, I can say, I looked at our data yesterday. We have a 25% increase overall in calls since the beginning of October. But food has gone from the number 3 reason that people call us to the number 1 reason that people call us. And our food calls in particular are every day either double or triple what they normally are for that day. That's just over the past 2 weeks. The Health and Human Services has been an incredible partner. So we talked about Director Merriman, an incredible partner with us and the whole county in encouraging people to contact us if they want information about where to go for food. Right now, we are experiencing some longer callback times than we would like. So we also stood up a food assistant on our website at unitedwaycleveland.org, as well as on 211oh.org. So it's an AI-enabled assistant. If you enter your zip code and what you're looking for and any needs that you have around food, it can provide some pantry references for you, resources for you. And the food bank also, you can contact the food bank. They have a pantry finder online. As we get more data, we can share that with HHS, with County Council, to let you know what needs we're seeing in real time. And we can also look at per zip code where those needs might be changing.
My second question through the chair, how has the collaboration over competition been working, especially compared to like years before you guys teamed up? Have you guys seen an increase? Has it been more efficient? Do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, I can start, but I think I will ask either the Food Bank or Hunger Network or both to respond. I think we are all working together very well, but I also think the Hunger Network, and if I can say from my perspective, the two of them are working together incredibly well and collaborating, and they referenced the pantry meetings that Hunger Network hosts and bringing in the food bank. I think there's a lot of, it's not just on this contract that they work together, but in several ways. You can speak to how that increases your efficiency and effectiveness, but I think overall the relationship seems great.
Councilwoman Conwell, Councilman Hauser, thank you so much for your question. I've been at the food bank a very long time, and have to say that I think largely in part to Julie's leadership, there has been a lot of positive changes over the course of the last several years. Very collaborative. We have been able to partner on many things, as Ms. Kahns mentioned, outside of this county contract. Some of those things involve food rescue. We've got a really nice partnership around food rescue. And then most recently, I'll just give one example, and of course, welcome Julie to give others. The food bank has a medically tailored grocery program, and we are partnering with Hunger Network to help us make those deliveries to the end user, to the pregnant mom and her family, to ensure that they're getting that healthy food timely. And so that has been a newer way that we work together, but has gone very, very well. Welcome, anything you want to mention?
Thank you for the question. I've worked very hard since I arrived here in 2020 to build that relationship back, understanding that it was very stressed and strained when I took the position. Fortunately, Kristen Marzocca and I had gone to Cleveland Bridge Builders together, so we already had an inherent trust relationship built in there, and then we've just building upon everything that we do. We analyze to see how can we do our program and provide it better overall, and if the food bank can help us with that, then we bring the food bank into the conversation. We try to keep them aware of everything that we're doing, and they do in return, so that we can collaborate as much as possible. And in addition to overall pantry service, we have been having the meetings together and that type of a thing. And I would say with the food rescue program, we've really jumped gains and strides. So if there's something called like a distress load, you'll see on that competition over collaboration. If the food bank cannot handle the distress load or we cannot handle the distress load, then we'll refer back and forth to one another. Generally, when you think of food rescue, if the food bank goes out and has a large truck, they're getting pallets and pallets of food. Where our food rescue kind of fills in is in those smaller loads where it would not be cost effective at all for the food bank to take a large truck out. We have a refrigerated van and a smaller refrigerated truck, or we can rely on our food rescue hero network as well to pick up those little bits, smaller boxes and things of food. And then, of course, there is a lot of food, again, in building our food rescue kitchen, that just isn't quite up to the quality that the food bank or that Hunger Network wants to provide in its raw state or its available readily state, but we can easily convert those foods into prepared meals. So think tomatoes that may not be, you may not want to slice them and put them in your salad, but we can generate those in tomato sauce. Potatoes that have eyes or bruises, or apples that have eyes or bruises, again, mashed potatoes, apples, things that, you look for when you're selecting produce in your market. We're trying, the food bank and Hunger Network together, to have the highest possible product available, the highest quality for our residents and our customers.
Thank you. And just my last question, through the chair. We've heard stories about people shopping at corner stores for food. We know East Cleveland doesn't have a grocery store at all. Have we looked at, I think you guys are doing excellent as far as short-term solutions. Have we looked at any long-term solutions in these areas? Co-ops, have we, these places have been food deserts for years, decades. Have we looked to really bring long-term solutions?
One of the efforts that we've been involved with is the Nourishing Power Network. I don't know if you're familiar with their work at all. They work with a lot of local urban farmers, and that is something that Hunger Network would like to start working on. I don't know, I'll have to let the Greater Cleveland Food Bank speak to that. I think that they had a partnership with one, but their funding had run out. But we really would like to work with them more locally to try to get the local produce here and to build some of that generational wealth within the urban farming areas. Our biggest challenge, if you want to know, is that a lot of our funding is restricted to certain locations where we have to spend it by certain contracts. So we may not have that available cash flow that would even make it worthwhile for the urban farmer for us to purchase from them. So we want to make sure it's a approach all the way around. That was something we designed in our strategic planning process, but we've just been kind of hit with crisis after crisis and have not much had time to center on those meetings. We did have some focus groups during our strategic plan with some of those groups, so we'd like to circle back to them. But we've kind of all been, as you see, in a kind of a state of emergency, and we're just trying to get the food out as quickly as possible as we can. But that is a future direction for us, yes, if
thank
that
you.
answers your question.
Thank you, Director. Please keep us updated. I will speak on behalf of the council. We are heavily invested. We'll make sure everybody eats in the county, so anything we can do to support you guys, please let us know.
Thank you, I
you.
appreciate that.
Councilman Sweeney.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I was thinking it could be like academic challenge. All four of you up there, and you talk, and you could, but this
Whoever
worked
hits the
out.
buzzer first gets to answer the question.
Yeah, it's working out well here. Just a reflection on listening to each one of you talk and your individual responsibilities. 3 words come to mind is amazing, compassionate, and humble. You're doing God's work, and you do it so non-emotional, right? It's not a panic mode. The rest of the world's in a panic mode right now. What are we going to do? Snap's falling apart. Everybody's going to be hungry. This is going to happen. You guys are just focused and doing your job. And my question was, the way you just presented it, it seemed like it's just normal business. But is this like a super rush coming right now, or the tidal wave is just moving up and it's going to hit us? And with the county, the dollars of 2025 plus 2 million and 2026 below 2 million, is that our line item that we put in for our contribution to your contract from 2024 to 2025 to 2026? And you have to deal with it because we're making a cut because everybody else is getting cut? Is that how I would understand your contract with the county? I got 2 head nods.
I don't know if I understand the question.
I'm just trying to,
Yeah, if I understand your
Yeah.
question correctly, Councilman Sweeney, yes, the county has been sending out contracts so that dollars can flow when the new year starts, even while we wait for the budget to pass and for y'all to do that important work. And so the contract that we received for the time being and that we have signed so that those dollars do flow is about $200,000 less per year than the 24-25 contract. And I think just, there are cuts everywhere, and we understand that, and we feel that in other things.
we see that, but this is a special snapshot in time.
Yeah.
And if someone, since there's more people, does everybody get one less can? Or does somebody get cut off? Or there's a real projection
Sure.
of a lot of stuff not good happening soon, and you're prepared the best you can and gonna manage through it? Uh-oh, I got the lifeline coming in.
David Merriman on behalf of the county executive, and I'm the Director of Health and Human Services. I appreciate your question. 2 things I just want to point out. Number 1, this is an informational presentation. I think the contract is going to follow in the coming weeks. And so we'll actually have a presentation on the contract that's being proposed by the administration. I also just want to point out that there are funds floating back and forth. I think we moved forward with a contract based on prior use, and we are making many adjustments across the board. This isn't one we've talked about with council, so I'd rather just hold that discussion on the budget for when we actually present the contract. And at the same time, the administration working with council has made pretty significant investment in hunger recently. So we're seeing that there are a couple things going on. There's a history of a contract, the desire to get moving with the contract, which you will see in this month, and then also some additional allocations around hunger. So what I'd ask is maybe we hold some of that discussion, if at all possible, for when we bring the contract forward.
Director said, I was not picking on anybody, I was just trying to
Good.
answer the questions, or ask the questions that came in my mind. I know
Yes.
the administration does wonderful, you got one of the most thankless and difficult jobs, and it's thankful because you feel when the success stories hit,
Yeah.
it just fills everybody, but.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that Jen is trying to answer the question, but having Julie here with Jen, and I know Kristen couldn't make it, and so Jess is here.
No, we're all
I
good.
think you see the balance of the partnership. However, any one of our individual jobs are, we have a great team. We're surrounded by partners. We work together. We work things out, and I understand the detail on this can get convoluted as you have multiple funding streams come together at the same time.
Thank you. I wasn't going any convoluted funding streams. That's 2 weeks from now. I'm looking forward to it.
It's a lifetime. It's just around the corner. We'll be
Thank
coming.
you. I think I got checked in the boards, but that's okay. I need to be. Okay, this is informational. I'm just trying to understand and let everybody that's watching know how serious this is and how serious it could be. And our partners that we have are doing an incredible job with what they have, and you should be applauded. That's what my whole context. But I do have a real question.
I just wanted to add, I appreciate your comment on our calm demeanor. I think this is we are in a crisis at the moment, and I have seen more of these two ladies in the past few weeks than in several months, maybe all year. And it's been amazing to see folks step up, not just our few organizations, but several organizations in the county in particular, and our elected officials. I think we are doing everything. The lift is huge for all of us at the moment, particularly for the pantries and the food bank. And it feels like a crisis. I think we're trying to stay focused and calm, but it definitely feels like a crisis.
Thank you. And one was the site visits, right? It's biannually. What are you looking for when you go? Are you like a health department saying they need to do this, or it's more of a rah-rah saying keep up the good work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the food bank, because they are distributing federal and state funds, are in compliance with the food programs manual put out by the Ohio Jobs and Family Services. That stipulates how food must be stored, how records must be kept, statistic logs, invoice logs, things of that nature, making sure that temperature logs are kept on the refrigerators and freezers for quality's sake. So those 2-year visits are very comprehensive in checking all of those boxes. We also ask them more about the other resources they have. Every site's a little bit different. If they're sponsored by a church or they have taxing bodies that also contribute to them, there's just a different makeup across the network. So we really try to understand the landscape of the resource that they're working with. Overwhelmingly, all of the food is sourced from the Greater Cleveland Food Bank, but some do have donated and purchased sources elsewhere. So we just talk to them about that, get a feel for their operations, their staff, their volunteer needs, see where we can support them if they need help with recruiting volunteers. Right now, the biggest thing is able-bodied volunteers. So we get a pallet of food and we have to fireman brigade it into a church basement, down flights of steps, and our pantry managers are, I call them angels on earth, but they are aging. They're the first ones to admit it, and the next generation of help is needed. So that's been commonly identified at those site visits. So we just track patterns like that of things over time. We also make sure that they're satisfied with their orders that they're receiving from the food bank, pickup and delivery, and address any concerns. So I'll always go out with a member of the agency services team, and it's a good time for them to ask questions as well.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. You just described the Bountiful basement.
Yes, that is one of our sites.
Would you say they're the best?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. No site is better in my
come
eyes.
on,
No,
right?
no, no.
Blessed Trinity.
But Eric is a
140th.
great pantry manager. Shout out to Eric.
Oh, but you described it. You have to go down the steps, all the I'm older generation, and all the bags are right there. They bring it up, put it in the car, and it's tight.
It's very common across the network to have those challenges with accessibility.
And through the chair, great job of avoiding my question of trying to get a plug in for my Bountiful basement. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you. So I had a final question for Jennifer Kahns. Okay, so we have a couple follow-up questions for you. Are you keeping the data? You spoke earlier about the data on increases. Do you share, I'm sure you're keeping the data, but do you share that with the Greater Food Bank, Hunger Network? How is that communicated, the data that you keep?
On the increases in 211?
In the food that you were talking about, you said you keep records of the households that you serve. I believe you said 30%.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for clarifying, Chairwoman. So that data primarily comes from the food bank and the Hunger Network. So all that pantry information it comes out of Pantry Track. Jessica could probably speak to that more clearly than I can.
I may have heard of that.
So I'll let you say it. So-
Councilwoman, thank you for your question. We use a intake system at all of our food pantries across our network called Pantry Track. It helps us to track the number of visits being made, the number of unduplicated people or counting them multiple times. We can get some demographic information around age, address. We do not collect confidential information, so we do not collect Social Security information or income. And every time somebody goes to a food pantry, they self-attest that they are income eligible to receive the emergency food, which is at any household below 200% of poverty. So for a family of 4, that's about $65,000 a year. And then data around food distributed, dollars, we keep all of that. And then our friends at the Hunger Network, we have a check and balance system every month where when we go to invoice the county, we want to make sure that all of our distribution records are in order. And so our accounting team meets regularly and talks regularly with the Hunger Network's accounting team to ensure that we've got all of that data. And our friends at United Way are also involved with that. So a lot of the data does come through Pantry Track or through the food bank's warehousing and inventory system and accounting system. But we do communicate monthly on those things. And then the quarterly reports that are sent, we collaborate on those as well.
I forgot about the Pantry Track. It's been a while since I need
That's
to
okay.
get back out and tour some more. Question, I think it came from you, Jessica.
Sure.
Where you talked about, I could be wrong, 200,000 is what needed to be cut back, and I know David doesn't want to go there. I just want to know, how does that equate? How does that amount of money equate to pounds of food? that
Sure,
may
so-
not be lost.
So right now, our blended cost is about $1 a pound-ish, give or take, depending on the item that we're sourcing, the moment in time. And so there's been fluctuations with that over time, but right now that's kind of where we're sitting. So about 200,000 or so pounds, I guess, would be a rough back of the napkin. We'd need to go back and double check those numbers, math.
Thank you.
I'm
I
being
will turn it
honest.
over to Councilman Sweeney for Jennifer Cons.
Thank you, Jennifer. I got a big question for you. You ready?
I don't know.
Who is the young lady sitting next to you, to your left? That's sitting over
right
there.
from
You
my
brought
left.
You brought us somebody, introduce her or
Oh,
something.
this is my colleague Natalia Cohen. She's our coordinator in our Community Impact Department at United Way of Greater Cleveland.
Good, she came down, she had tremendous value, and I got to introduce myself to her, and I wanted the world to
Thank
see
you.
who she is.
Natalia makes it work, so she receives a lot of the reporting and also helps compile the report that we submit to the county for this work.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Any other questions from my colleagues? Anything else that you ladies would like to share? All right, we look for your
Thank you so
panel.
much.
What was that, Jeopardy? What was that show?
Academic challenge, they're all
Right,
there, they whisper to
Academic
each
challenge.
other. and they-
We'll set up something like that for Hunger, Harvest for Hunger. That would be good. So without any further ado, thank you, ladies, for coming down. And Madam Clerk, if you could please read the item that was referred into committee.
And let the record reflect that Ms. Conwell is in attendance. Resolution 2025-0308, authorizing an amendment to a contract with the Salvation Army for supportive services for homeless men in the Pickup Assessment Sheltering Service Transitional Housing Program for the period October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2025, to extend the time period to September 30th, 2026, to amend the budget terms and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $834,302, effective October 1st, 2025.
Good afternoon, David Merriman here on behalf of the Department of Health and Human Services. I'm going to invite my colleague Levine Ross to come forward and to share detail on this contract. Just mindful of the fact that we first have Bo Hill also here on behalf of Salvation Army. So we do have we have two speakers, and I'll just invite Levine to come up and make the presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of council.
Levine
Afternoon.
Ross, Director of the Office of Homeless Services. I am here today to introduce the Salvation Army Contract for Supportive Services for Men in the PASS Temporary Housing Program. The PASS program, which stands for Pickup Assessment Sheltering Service, provides temporary housing, rapid rehousing, and recovery support to single adult men who are experiencing homelessness. This program can serve up to 75 men at any given time with an average of 150 to 200 men annually. Clients are supported in obtaining earned income and recovery supports while being linked to permanent housing. From October 2024 to September of 2025, this program has served 175 adults with 79 individuals exiting into permanent housing. This contract is funded at 30% HHS levy and 70% HUD dollars. This is the second contract amendment. It's extending the time frame to September 30th, 2026 at the total amount of $834,302. So with all to do, I will allow the Executive Director, Bo Hill, to come up to provide any more program specifics and answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Bo.
How are you guys doing?
We are good.
So I'm just thankful for the
Excuse me,
opportunity.
Mr. Hill, could you state your name for the record, please?
Apologize.
Thank you.
Bo Hill from the Salvation Army. And Madam Chair, I've been before you a number of times to talk about a lot of our services, and we're thankful to be able to provide services to homeless men in Cuyahoga County. Today, there are 65 men in that program, and the number that the director referred to earlier was 79 of those that exited. So the percentage of those that exited positively was somewhere in the area of 75 to 80% traditionally. And so we're thankful to be able to do that, and it accounts for a lot of the services we do at the Salvation Army, and its current location is on the 7th floor of the Harbor Light Complex, which is located on 18th and Prospect in Cleveland, Ohio. So I think that she did a wonderful job of presenting the program, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
I don't know if these questions that I have are for you or Levine. I think they're probably for Levine. Let me see. Yeah, I believe so. So one of my questions would be, is the funding is this funding in the OHS budget currently?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
The second question, because I think you touched on it a little bit, second contract amendment, my question was next RFP. So is it on the 3 amendment cycle?
Yes, so I think the next, there may be another amendment, or we may just do a whole new contract. So there was a contract done first, then there was an amendment, and this is the second amendment.
And number 3 question, does the funding that come from the U.S. Department of Housing, the 70%, play a role in this contract?
So the 70% HUD funding is for the supportive services, and the levy funding is for operations at the shelter.
So funding from U.S. is supportive services,
Correct.
and the 30% is operations.
Correct.
And I guess, Bo, you could speak to, you and Levine, how is that 30%, is that adequate? Has it been adequate? Where do you see, your increase in cost?
So the amount of money that we've received as far as total dollars pretty much has not increased since I've been working there which is about 30 years. So the total cost of the project is roughly about $1.4 million. This is about $800,000, and then there's a couple $100,000 that comes from the state to augment those services. And the remaining of that is discretionary funds that we come up with as the Salvation Army to keep the program going.
So the total is the 1.4, the 800 from the state, and the discretionary funds, that's the total amount that this program gets?
So roughly, Madam Chair, $800,000 from the county, some of it from HUD, $200,000 from the state, and then about $400-ish thousand from the Salvation Army.
And you have to, for the state funds that you get, that's more of your job to ask for those dollars, or does our OHS director have to do that?
They are supported by the Office of Homeless Services, but it is a direct contract between us as the Salvation Army and the state.
Thank you. Open it up to my colleagues.
I'll try one.
All right.
The director mentioned it's for single males. How do you make sure they're not married?
Everyone that we serve comes through coordinated entry, all right? And so if they're referred to us coordinated entry as a single man, when you say single man, whether or not they have a significant other or partner or anything like that, we are servicing them as a homeless single individual.
That's just a check box, right? Because that's part of the,
Yeah, they could be divorced, they could be
yeah,
married.
because all kinds of different,
Yeah, we have no idea. But
As long as they
far
say
as
they're
they
single.
present to us, it is a single man.
so if they say, oh, I'm married, but I'm divorced, haven't seen her in a while, and we're just keeping together because the benefits or something,
We wouldn't have. Yeah, if there would be a
they'd be
a
ineligible.
family, then we would service them in our family shelters.
If they say they're not single, they're just ineligible because of the way the program's structured. Would that be accurate?
I guess,
I'm just trying to say, if you're married and you're homeless, are you getting bumped? I don't think so.
no, if you,
Single thing got me.
through the chair and Councilman Sweeney, it's, if you present as a single man, we're gonna service you like anyone else.
And then just on the 70% and 30% of the funding HUD versus, what drives the 30%? If HUD says it's $100, I have $70, we have to come up with the 30? Or if we have the 30, do they have to come up with the 70?
It is, so the way it was initially established was that there were two different HUD grants, and then one of those HUD grants was reallocated, and the grant that was reallocated was essentially replaced with Health and Human Services dollars, and that's roughly the 30%.
Yeah, I'm just, if it's a 70-30 split, something has to establish one of the two to make this
Yeah,
the
'cause-
70-30. It's, well, I have this much, somebody has to come up with this much, and is it a hard number or is it flexible?
So I just wanted to add to the chair, to the council persons, is that the 30% levy dollars goes towards shelter operations, which HUD grants do not cover. So I just wanted to kind of specify that as well.
Yeah, thank you for reiterating that. But it just, when it says 30%, it's not a matching to get to, it's roughly 30-70. That's how it is. Okay. Thank you, Madam Vice President.
A time period for stay, Mr. Hill. Is there, because transitional usually means a specific amount of time. What is that term?
So it is a time-limited housing intervention that we try to get everyone to move out within 2 years. And much credit to the Office of Homeless Services and their team over the last 10 to 12 months. They've instituted a vulnerability index in the manner in which they're assessing people for prioritization and receipt of housing services. And so that has been very beneficial to those that we serve. So we've seen kind of that length of stay go down a little bit, but we do have a number of people that have significant needs that tend to stay a little bit longer.
And yeah, that was going to be my next question. On the app, how long on an average does?
So
Because I know it's always
currently it's
someone
about
that-
6 to 9 months, roughly.
All right, any more questions from my colleagues? All right, anything else you'd like to share with us?
The only thing I'd like to share is God bless you. Thank you for the time. And kettles are going to be out soon, and that's a large part of that money that we need to help support our services. So when you see those, people ringing those bells at the stores. We appreciate all the support. So,
Just know what it's for. Now we have a clearer picture, so thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to you after, right?
God bless you guys.
All right, thank you. Anything, any miscellaneous business, anything?
Excuse me, Madam Chair, we'll need to vote on
Oh,
this
yes,
item.
we have to vote for it, don't we? Director, is that a second reading suspension? I mean, sorry.
I just remembered that. Yes, Madam Chair. Second reading. Thank you.
All right, I'll make a motion to move R2025-0308 to the full council under second reading. Can I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Conwell, seconded by Castleberry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Now, is there any miscellaneous business? Hearing none, seeing.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, I'm sorry. Did you say second reading or second reading suspension?
Second reading suspension.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anything else? All right, hearing none, we're adjourned.